What is up, guys? My name is Sid Corrigan, and we are back on F124 Driver Career. This is Season 2, Episode 2 for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Coming up. So I'm coming off a rather lackluster performance around Bahrain. If you haven't seen that episode yet, check it out before you see this one, where I only managed to finish 8th and capture 4 points. Definitely not the start to the season that I was hoping for. We did have an ERS fault, as our email shows, but that was not a significant factor in our poor performance in the first race. The big factor was a bad strategy call, going for the 2-stop around Bahrain, and I exacerbated that bad strategy call by going on another set of hards with only 9 laps left in the race, and Verstappen dominated around Bahrain, showing that the 1-stop strategy was definitely the superior call. I didn't have the pace in the car to win the race, but with the correct strategy call, I definitely could have finished a lot better than 8th. So I'm looking forward to getting back on track quickly, as there's very little time between these 2 races. And it looks like the only upgrade in the pipeline is a major drag reduction, but that will not be on in time for Jeddah. But Jeddah definitely suits the characteristics of the development of our car a lot better and my driving style, as I will be looking to perform much better in the second race of the season. See if I can get myself a lot closer to the front of the field, get into the title fight. Let's head to qualifying.
Welcome to the Jeddah Corniche, one of the fastest circuits on the calendar. But let's see who will be fastest of them all. We're about to set the grid for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Yes, it's qualifying.
Okay guys, everyone be aware, the car's ready to go.
So this was my best lap of Q1, just trying to get into the rhythm of this fast and flowing circuit. This was the second lap I did on these tires. As we are currently sitting in 7th, I want to improve my time, but I don't want to push it too hard in Q1. We only have to finish in the top 15. And this is one of those tracks where if you push it a little bit too hard, you can find the wall and ruin your entire qualifying session. Saudi Arabia is a track you can overtake at with all the DRS zones, but I don't want to be stuck in a recovery drive. As we head into the banking of turn 13, got a reasonable exit. This track is definitely suited to my driving style. I definitely prefer a much more flowing circuit. As we head towards the second DRS zone, I am running fairly low wings. That might compromise me a little bit in qualifying, but I feel like it'll be a huge benefit in the race. As we head through the very tricky turn 22-23 chicane, it's essential to get a good run through that chicane, as it spits you out into another DRS zone. Heading into the final corner. Not the best run through the final corner, but it's manageable. Heading to the line, and that's good enough for second, and good enough to see us through into Q2 in 10th, just ahead of our teammate in 11th. Gonna have to put a better run together than that to get towards the sharp end. No surprise exits at the bottom of the field, as Norris tops Verstappen at the top of the session. As we head into Q2, I think I'm gonna add a couple clicks of front wing, as I noticed a little bit of understeer through the high-speed corners. See if that helps me a little bit through the first sector and pick up some time. Hopefully my teammate and I can both make it through into Q3. My focus last year was very much on getting used to the car and fitting into the team and the constructors battle. My focus this year is very much on seeing if I can score a driver's title for Haas. So my focus will be much more selfish this year, but it still would be very cool to see Hulkenberg and myself make it into Q3 in the second race of the season. As I run a little bit wide, I think that's turn 10. Took a little bit too much curve, that'll cost me a little bit of time. as I'm pushing a little bit harder here in Q2. As we run into the wall on the exit of the banking, luckily I don't pick up any damage, and I can finish this lap. Hopefully it'll be good enough that I don't have to go back out, and I can save a set of softs for the race. And at this track last year, I was able to grab 5th at the opening race of my rookie season, and I have every intention of finishing higher than that this year. I feel like with a good strategy and a smart drive, I can definitely aim for a podium this year, which is exactly what I need to get back into the fight. I can't let Verstappen and Leclerc run away with the title early in the season as we use the rest of our battery to the line, and that's good enough for provisional pole, and it's good enough to see us through in 5th. Our teammate is knocked out down in 13th, so Hulkenberg was unable to put a good run together in Q2. Alonso in the Aston Martin is also knocked out in 14th, so that is back-to-back bad qualifying sessions. He was able to come back through in Bahrain and recover a good result. He's going to have to do it again.
We're ready to go, so let's get the car out onto the track.
Heading out onto my final run of Q3. This is on a brand new set of tires. I set my first lap time on the used set from last session.
Okay, we've only got 1 lap of fuel remaining.
We head through the tricky turn 4. We're nearly a 10th up on our initial time. Those tires were barely used though, and was good enough for 5th at the moment. I feel like we can get up into the front row with a good run here. Into the bank turn 13. Gonna need a bit of an improvement through the second sector, as that first sector was a little bit scruffy. Still hovering around a 10th up. I would be happy with anything in the top 5, but I do think we need an improvement to stay where we're at, and that proves that we've been dropped down to 8th. As we head through the high-speed chicane, onto the back straight, heading towards the final corner, sticking to the inside of the track, trying to shave off as much time as we possibly can. Into the final corner, fighting a little bit of understeer through that final corner. To the line, and that's good enough for 2nd for the moment.
With qualifying wraps up now, we have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
And that will be good enough to put us onto the front row, missing out on pole to Max Verstappen by less than a 10th. Let's head to the grid.
Good morning, good afternoon, or for us, good evening, as we're under the night lights of Jeddah. The floodlights are on and so is the pressure here at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah street circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, and a Haas alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Norris, Perez, Russell, Tsunoda, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Hamilton, Ocon, Albon, Hulkenberg, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Joe, Sainz, Bottas, Ricciardo, and Logan Sargent. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, we've got that relief of having points on the board finally, so let's keep that form up and get another top 10 finish today, please.
So as we head out on the formation lap, I decided to start on the mediums. Most of the field started on the mediums except Verstappen, who started on the softs.
We're We're not seeing any technical issues coming off the practice starts. Watch the RPM on the full start. We don't want you to
So I
bog down.
accomplished my first mission, which was to qualify well. And now my second mission is to stay close enough to Verstappen and use those DRS zones to my advantage.
Incredible parking there, nice one. That's going to give you the edge if you can get a good launch as the race starts.
The 5 red lights and the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is underway. As we had quite a long hold on the start, we get a decent launch. Verstappen gets a better one. We are able to hold on to second through the first chicane. Leclerc climbs up into third, so we need to watch out behind us and not fall too far back of Verstappen, who's going to be very fast on these early laps with those new soft tires, as he's already pulled a 1.2 second gap. We're just going to have to do our best to stay close and keep Leclerc behind. It looks like Norris and Perez jockeyed for position behind us, giving us a little bit of a gap to 4th and 5th, but Leclerc in that Ferrari is very close. And as we head to the close of the first lap, Leclerc tucks into our slipstream, uses some battery.
DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS.
We make a little bit of contact with the back of Leclerc as he didn't decide if he was going to defend or not. Now he can strategically use the DRS to try to catch back up to Verstappen and stay close. As on the end of lap 3, the battle for 4th and 5th is starting to heat up as Perez in the Red Bull is looking to challenge Norris for 4th. Norris goes defensive. Perez goes around the outside and makes his way through up into 4th. As I continue to stay behind Leclerc in his DRS, recharging the battery, waiting for Verstappen's softs to start to fall off. The DRS is allowing me to stay very close to the much faster Ferrari, and we've been able to build a 2.5 second gap to 4th as Norris and Perez have continued to battle, and that's just helping us comfortably ride Leclerc's coattails to the back of Verstappen. As Perez and Norris continue to battle, they've invited Russell in the Mercedes and Tsunoda in the Ferrari to join this fight. And this is perfect for us sitting in third as we can continue to build that gap. As Perez again tries to go around the outside of Norris into the first corner. They go side by side through the first chicane. And this battle will continue as they head towards turn 4. Norris has the inside. Neither driver wanting to back down, but all they're doing is costing themselves a ton of time to the cars in front of them and the cars who are challenging them behind. And they're going to go side by side all the way through Sector 1. And by lap 9, Verstappen's softs have started to fade, and Leclerc is going to challenge him for the lead. We've used the DRS to stick close to this fight as they go side by side through the first corners, and Leclerc is able to make his way through, and we have our first lead change. And now we also have to make our way through Verstappen on those dying soft tires. I'm going to use some of the battery I was able to save sticking behind Leclerc and go up the inside of the turn 22 chicane, up into second, and maintain the DRS to Leclerc.
That brings you up a place.
So far, this race is playing out nicely for us, and if we can stick in the DRS of Leclerc, it should negate Verstappen getting a good undercut if he decides to pit this lap. Verstappen is peeling off into the pits.
Okay, we want you to pit this lap, so push now, push.
And as we're sticking in the DRS of Leclerc, this is our scheduled lap to pit. But as we head into the final corners, I feel like we have very good pace right now. And I'm going to do the opposite of Leclerc. Leclerc peels into the pits. I'm going to stay out one more lap. Use the DRS down this straight.
Unlucky, mate. That wasn't quite what we needed, but let's not worry about it. Get your head down and chin up. There's a long way to go.
I'm going to dump the battery down the back straight and come in on this lap. And on the end of lap 12, we are coming into box. I very much need a good pit stop from the team here, as we have found ourselves in contention for a podium or better. Into the pits. and the team manages to deliver us a very quick pit stop. Where will we filter out? That's Verstappen coming down the main straight now. Leclerc has already made his way through. We're going to filter out in second place, just ahead of the Red Bull and behind Leclerc. And as I find myself just outside the DRS of Leclerc, I need to push as hard as I can and use all of my battery and see if I can close into 1 second of the Ferrari, because I feel like if he gets out of our grasp now, he may just run away with the win. But I need to be very cautious, because if I run out of battery and don't get within a second, I'm going to be caught with my pants down against Verstappen in the Red Bull. And as we go through the turn 22 chicane, I am just within a second of the Ferrari and have managed to get the DRS. But as we head down the start-finish straight, Verstappen on the brand new mediums has managed to catch us anyway. We managed to fend him off through the first chicane. We can't afford to fight him too hard and lose the DRS to Leclerc, but I would like to hold on to second as we take a look further back through the field at our teammate, and it looks like Sainz in front of him has had an engine failure, and he's billowing smoke, pulling to the side. So more bad luck for Sainz, and it looks like Zhou is pulling off with some kind of issue as well. Will this bring out a safety car as we get the notification for both stricken vehicles heading onto the back straight as Verstappen tries to make a move around the outside.
Red flag, no overtaking, and let's get
and there's
back
a red
into the pits, please.
Red flag, and somehow we got an illegal overtake.
Back, I'm afraid that was an illegal overtake.
How was that an illegal overtake on Verstappen? He never got past us.
Free stop, so let's think very carefully about our strategy for the rest of this race.
So with 10 laps remaining, we're going to go on the mediums, and we better not pick up a stupid penalty for that illegal overtake.
Deja vu here, but there's a good opportunity to get this start spot on. Come on.
And we are back underway for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix as Verstappen just gets past us on the start. We go back up the inside, but have a huge lockup into the first corner. We managed to keep it facing the right direction and hold on to second, but this race has picked up a whole lot of drama I could have done without, as Norris tries to make a move around the outside of Verstappen into the final corner, and Alonso has managed to make his way up to fifth. A very impressive recovery from the Aston Martin driver. Norris and Verstappen go side by side down the start-finish straight. Alonso tucked into the slipstream of Verstappen, waiting to see if any mistakes are made into the first few corners. And this battling behind us could really help us build that gap back that we lost during the red flag, as I have managed to stay within the DRS of Leclerc and managed to break the DRS to Verstappen. And in a flip of the script, I find myself on the faster compound than Verstappen, but hoping that Leclerc on the hards is fast enough that he can pull us along with DRS and keep us away from that battle for third, fourth, and fifth. Or do I make the move on Leclerc and try to break the DRS while these mediums are faster? And behind me, much to my satisfaction, a struggling Tsunoda is finding himself under attack from Russell in the Mercedes. As these two battle for 7th and 8th, Tsunoda is able to hold off the charging Russell. And on lap 19, Leclerc is struggling a bit for pace on the hards, as we are well within the DRS, but Norris has caught the back of us and is pressurizing us for second as he tries to go around the outside. Verstappen has also joined this battle as we dive back up the inside of Norris into the final corner, maintaining second, and that leaves him vulnerable to Verstappen behind. I need to make a decision on getting past Leclerc or not, because he is unable to drag us away from Verstappen and Norris. As the Red Bull makes a half-hearted dive up the inside, he backs out of it. We have plenty of battery. I may try to get past Leclerc and try to break the DRS. It might be the better option right now. And as we head down the back straight, Verstappen is going to try to go around the outside. He makes his way through for the moment.
Okay.
We dive back up the inside. We lock up and go deep, giving Leclerc the switchback. and the Ferrari pulls off a beautiful switchback, retaking the lead. But we're gonna dump some battery.
Okay, unlucky, mate. It was a good try, but we didn't quite meet our targets. Not to worry. Get your head down and chin up, and let's focus right the way into the checkered
And try to go all the way around the outside of Leclerc, and we do, up into the lead. And now's my chance to run and break the DRS. As with 3 laps left, hopefully Leclerc can hold up Verstappen a little bit, as he is definitely struggling for pace versus his second stint. As they go side by side through the final corner, the more they battle, the more this helps us. But we also have to be very wary of Norris in 4th and Alonso in 5th, as Leclerc is able to get back ahead of Verstappen with the DRS down the main straight, as Norris tries to force the issue, diving up the inside of Verstappen into the first chicane. Leclerc manages to cling on to 2nd, but Norris makes his way through up into 3rd. As with 2 laps left, I'm just managing to stay out of the DRS of Leclerc, trying to be as smart as possible with my battery deployment, as I do not want to be caught at the front of the field with a low battery with so few laps remaining, as I have somehow manifested this win into an actual possibility. A podium would feel like a loss now, as just behind us, Leclerc is acting like the cork in the bottle, holding up Norris, Verstappen, and Alonso, as Norris tries to make a move around the outside into the final corner, as it's proving incredibly difficult for us to keep 3rd, 4th, and 5th out of DRS range when they have DRS down the back straight and we don't, as Leclerc goes defensive on Norris, but Norris with the DRS is easily able to get past, as Verstappen also tries to make his way past Leclerc. And he not only makes his way past Leclerc, but he tries to make a move on Norris for 2nd, but backs out of it, unfortunately for us, as we head through turn 27 on the penultimate lap, getting ready to start the final lap. Norris is just outside the DRS. We've managed to keep him about a half a second out.
Okay, you've just started the final lap of the race. Final lap.
We have one more lap in which to keep Verstappen, Leclerc, and Norris out of our DRS and have a chance of winning our first race of the season. And as we head through the turn 22 chicane on the final lap, we have managed to keep 2nd place out of our DRS range. We have managed to have the pace to stay ahead in this race. 1 corner to go, as we make our way onto the final straight one more time. We are going to win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
To overcome the difficult circumstances they face throughout this race today, Crofty, it's not easy, and it really shows a lot of maturity, and you can use this, you can draw on this as a driver moving forward and boost your confidence through the rest of the championship.
Today was another great race and an even greater victory for Haas. Here they come now to step out onto the top of the podium. They'll be incredibly happy with today's result.
So we managed to pick up our first win of the season. Leclerc managed to hold off Verstappen for 2nd, and the Red Bull rounds out the podium in 3rd, managing to hold off Norris and Alonso. And this win will put us back into contention for the Drivers' Championship. At least at this early stage of the season, we've managed to keep pace with the Ferrari and the Red Bull at the front of the field. And unlike in Bahrain, I managed to actually have a very smart race this time around, as our teammate finishes down in 14th, unable to pick up any points, unable to extract the pace from the car that we were able to. And Alonso was able to finish up in 5th, another epic recovery drive, coming all the way from 14th at the start of the race to grab big points for Aston Martin. As we take a look at the drivers' standings, Verstappen still leads Leclerc by 5 points and 12 points to us now, and Alonso a further 6 back from us. And in the constructors, Red Bull leads Ferrari by 14, and with that win, Haas moves up to 3rd in the constructors. So if we could get a little bit of help from Hulkenberg, we should be able to outperform our 6th place in the constructors from last season, as our rating gets a nice boost from the win. and we take a 2 percentage point recognition lead over Hulkenberg within the team. And we also managed to accomplish all of our specialist goals for the weekend, including an upgrade in the material fabrication planner. So definitely a much more positive weekend within the team, as we get a little shout out here for finally reaching our 80 rating. And I feel like we could have reached that at the end of last season if it wasn't for all the bad luck we had with the DNFs and the mechanical failures. Might have helped us grab that Ferrari seat instead of Sonoda, but we'll file that away for later as we get ready for the Australian Grand Prix next week. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for now. I'll see you next week in Australia. Goodbye.